All right, what's going on, guys? It's Clint Cochrane on the hot mic today with his lovely mother, Judy Cochrane.
Hello.
So my mom has been a huge inspiration for me in a lot of ways, but she's an author of a book called 11 Days. She's an entrepreneur with her own apparel line and jewelry brand, amongst many other things, and I am lucky to have her as a mom, and wanted to talk to her a little bit about what she's got going on right now and what the inspiration was to writing the book and doing all the things that she does. So without further ado, Judy.
Hello. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, I wish I had that accent. My inspiration for writing the book. Wow, we're starting off big and deep here. Okay, so you were my inspiration. No.
Was I?
Well, it's funny. I have said this numerous times before. I started writing that book for myself. They say that's like a healing thing. Anytime you start putting your life down on paper and you're able to look at it like an observer, it does whopper healing, stuff you don't even know about that needs to be healed. So I started it because of that. It got hard when, for those people that have tried to write, it is a battle to finish. Easy to start, usually battle to finish. And so there were numerous times where I wanted to quit, which is normal. And at one point I was really like, I had made a decision over a 4-day period, and I was like, yeah, I'm not finishing this. This is too much. And I went to lunch, not with you. You were at University of Arizona, but I met Nicole and Marcus at Goodness on campus, the restaurant. I was having lunch, and they were so excited about the book, and I was just ready to tell them that I wasn't going to finish it. I'm not a writer. I'm not good enough. It's not good enough. I'm reading it back. I can't publish it. It's too much. It's too heavy. And they were so excited, and that excitement made me feel a little guilty. And so I said, in my mind and in my heart, sitting in front of them with no words, I said, I'm gonna finish it, but I'm not gonna finish it for myself. I started it for myself, but I'm gonna finish it for them. You, Clint, Marcus, Nicole, and for Dad.
How long? Because that was, I'm trying to think of at what point that was. Because it seemed to me at that time that I was kind of wrapped up in all the things that I had going on, and I didn't really notice what was taking place or what point in the book you were really at. So I don't even know if I remember that moment for you. But how long did that take? It was like 2 years or a year?
Well, it's funny. Over Christmas break, you came home from college, you were hanging out, and I put everything out on the kitchen table. For the first time, I laid my eyes on all the old stuff that I had in Santa Barbara and all the, memories of that 11 days. And I started it in the middle of complete chaos in our kitchen with you home. And I don't know if you remember, but I wrote on with the dry erase marker on every mirror, like decorative mirror over the kitchen table, the sliding glass windows, all the windows on the first floor. And you and Nicole were like, do we need to check you in somewhere? Like, what are you doing? I go, well, this is the outline for the book I'm going to write. And so I finished that first draft in 40 days. I did. Like, it was quite magical.
I didn't realize it was that fast for the draft. That's cool.
And it took me a year to finish it. Like, where I couldn't do any more with it, I had to give it to an editor at that point, which is also fast. Like, author friends of mine were like, are you sure you're done?
Yeah.
But
for anybody who's listening, I was kind of like the last one out of the kids to read it. And I think I've always been with a good heart, my mom's biggest critic, because I'm that way with myself and everyone around me. But I was the last one to read it. And do you think you would have published it without me reading it, or did you had to?
Oh, hell no.
You had to get it. Yeah.
No, I had No, because you are the most private.
Yeah, I've always been that way.
And I love that about you. I don't even want that to change. And so you were kind of you were the key.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to, remember? And
No,
Dad
it
was like, she's not going to publish this if you don't. And
You know-
you go, well, I'll skim over it. And I go, oh, no, you got to read it.
There was a shift that happened for me that was kind of interesting because, like you said, I've been extremely private my entire life. I've never disclosed anything that's not 100% necessary. I always thought there was always an advantage to being closed off in that way in my head. But as you know, we've all watched, privacy's going away. So a lot of and obviously you gotta, all the privacy things that I had or wanted to keep was also that like extroversion or introversion rather than extroversion, trying to hide a lot of the things. So it was just interesting that forced me to open up, that forced me to shift my mindset and go, look, why don't we just like throw everything out onto the table anyways? Like this is coming out. Maybe everybody needs to know about it. Maybe I shouldn't care about people knowing the inner workings of what's going on in my life. As long as there's not a safety issue associated with it, why not be fully transparent?
Right.
What do you have to hide kind of a thing. So that taught me a lot. I had to open up and I had to learn how to be okay with being transparent, being vulnerable, and everyone having their own judgment of the situation out there and available.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool.
That is cool. It's huge, actually. And, Brene Brown, that author, she's talking about vulnerability now. She's got a Netflix special. And a lot of people are like punching her in the gut going, well, I don't want to tell everybody everything. And she said, it's not about telling everybody everything. It's about being authentic. Mm-hmm. And, when you listen to Gary Vee and Andy Frisella and Ed Millett, they're all talking about authenticity and how that is the new and it's thing and it's mandatory in order to.
I think it's mandatory for your own well-being.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, again, not throwing every little detail out that there's certain things that don't need to be disclosed, right? Boundaries, but being able to one, it's self-fulfilling. I think having all the cards out it's actually heavier on the strategy game because people, not only is it good for you and it gets it out there and you got to deal with it head on and worry about the other, and just deal with other people's opinions, but it attracts these people that really want to relate to you, but otherwise wouldn't be able to because you're so closed off. Like I was just talking to one of my buddies yesterday when we were out on the water, and we were talking about just the little things of showing your day to day and someone not even being negative or showing any of these struggles, but just showing people what it actually looks like instead of showing out a highlight reel. And I think, it's becoming that's a common topic now, right? Like everybody understands that Instagram's a highlight reel, but everyone's talking about it, but still people are only showing their best parts. And so that stuff goes a long way. Not only is it good for you, but people can tag along and buy into who you are as a person if you're just giving them a little bit of insight into what your life is really like.
What I have found with the readers is, and some of them have literally said this on Amazon reviews, thank you for giving me permission to just be who I am. And because I use the word flawsome and stuff like that, people are like, thank you, because I am flawed. And I'm tired of trying to be perfect. For God's sake, that's so much work. But if we were to just accept ourselves as flawed and both flawed and awesome, it's just an easier way to live. It's more harmonious,
So what's your biggest takeaway from the book? Post, you've written the entire thing. You've put it out there. It's been out for a year. By your standard, you don't think you've sold enough. You don't think it's reached the amount of people it should yet. So what's the biggest takeaway of, is it is what it is, keep working, like it's going to be exactly what it's supposed to be, or is there something else that you took away from it, or what do you think is the biggest thing right now that you're thinking about regarding the book?
That's a great question. I do, I have cycles and I share most of them with you.
Mm-hmm.
Right now I'm on a high, but I'm also in major trust mode. I get so many emails and so much feedback that proves to me that the messages in it are so and can be so valuable that I am on a mission. So I don't have as much urgency now. I have less urgency and more trust.
Mm-hmm.
And just being more present and getting what I need to get done with marketing and stuff like that, I've noticed that there's more things falling into my lap with ease and grace. So I'm excited about this book. I kind of knew what it had in the beginning, but now, fast forward a year later, I'm absolutely sure that I'm going to push this and get this to reach as many people as possible, actually.
For those of the people that haven't read it, what's your kind of synopsis of it, if you were going to give one?
I think I would say, this is like it's true story, memoir, but it's not the regular ones everyone's used to with like a single woman that has money and no kids. Those are usually the typical memoirs. This is about a woman, a wife, and a mother. And it's not just about me. It's about my husband and my 3 little kids. And so I think that's why, it's our story, but many people find their story in it. I've got readers from 18 to 98 now, male and female. And there's half of the Amazon reviews are male because of the whole provider idea in it. It's I shifted in there. It's not just about males making money for their families. It's you guys provide so many other things, and you must start with those so many other things first before you put the money first.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you'll have some trouble. But it's basically about a woman who leaves for 11 days, leaves the kids with the husband, and there's no money. The marriage is tanked. I went to kind of get strong so that I could leave your dad. That was the plan. And he was like, see ya. He wasn't fighting too hard to keep me. So we were kind of done. And I thought this was going to get me grounded, reconnect to source, and then come back stronger. I came back stronger, but I came back with a new understanding of myself, of him, and of this marriage. I saw my role and responsibility in the loss of the money, the demise of the marriage, and I saw my role and responsibility different with you guys even. So anyway, long and short of it is, I went for one reason, met some amazing people while I was there, from a homeless guy to a dying writing professor on the beach. I mean, the 11 days is movie worthy, but then Dad's 11 days with you guys, it's another movie. I mean, it's like, what? So the transformation that we did apart with no marriage therapist or anything else, we just rolled our own sleeves up, did the work some marriages need to do, and we got our heads and hearts together apart. And then when we came together, it was like, whoa, kind of back in love with this guy, back in love with myself, and had new love goggles for the kids, like, whoa, so grateful.
Yeah, I think one of the things I do remember was during those 11 days, and you just mentioned it, there was like a complete evolution happening with Dad, and it was also with me, Nicole, and Marcus too.
Yeah.
I talk about this all the time with everybody. They're like, they hear about the story, and it's always like, people go through crazy things. Like everybody goes through their thing. So this is just like our version of it, right?
Yeah.
And but when people hear about it or talk to me, they're like, yeah, man, that must have sucked. And I'm like, no, not really, because I ended up being extremely close with, like, I'm best friends with my siblings now because of that's what we did. We hung out with each other, while my parents were figuring their stuff out, while there was no real time to be spending with them. And that made us like the greatest like little trio of siblings, and learned a ton of things, like what not to do, what to do, and huge learning lessons in it. And I just, yeah, that's kind of always my response is like, no, man, that was perfect.
Yeah.
But
yeah, there were a lot of gains,
mm-hmm.
We lost 35 million, but in that American dream, quote unquote, but there was a lot to gain.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are much more durable.
Yeah.
I think if we had lived in the mansion and you had everything that we had, I don't know,
No, it definitely would have been different. It always is.
Yeah.
It is for everybody.
Yeah. Not that that's bad. I would have liked to have kept going that direction, but in the book I say this too. Everything can serve you right if you allow it. If obstacles come and it gets gritty and you dig your heels in, you're going to stay in the grit a lot longer than you need to until you find that grace. And so Dad and I have always said that. There's quotes in the book about just if you're going through something, learn as quickly and as masterfully as you possibly can to move through it, not
Right.
around it, not under, through it, just to get through it.
Yeah, and
it will serve you right.
it's like, and I'm sure this was a quote of a quote, but Ed Milet always talks about it's never happening to you, it's happening for you.
Oh, yeah.
And that's like it applies to this situation a lot. There were a lot of different points I remember in my life, even outside of this story, that were just like, really? That happened? Like, why is that? That was just like an unfair kind of dealing of cards. But at the end of the day, it's like it pivots you in the perfect spot and kind of catapults you in the right direction. So
yeah, that's a huge takeaway from the book. Yeah, one for us all.